it seems like almost anything can be a data related project if you want it to be. You might have to go collect some data, you might have to see what's out there, you might have to scrape something, but any problem that we have out there does have some form of data component. And with this skill set, or if you're trying to build this skill set, there's a way to integrate it into most things. You know, like even like a simple hobby, even if you like love anime or something, you could make yourself a recommender, or you know, there's a lot of information out there, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think that, yeah, it's, I mean, and some of those projects that are the hardest to kind of acquire data or make data are oftentimes turn out to be the most interesting. If, kind of the canonical data set for learning, for data science on Kaggle is that Titanic data set, which if you're interested in shipwrecks in the 1900s, I guess that's pretty cool. But, you know, you're probably interested in something else. And so finding some data or analyze, gathering data for a while, then kind of look and figure things out. And part of it, I think, gathering that data gives your mind time to think about and form hypotheses and strategies. I mean, I know that I'm a little weird in that I think about almost everything through kind of a data analytics lens. Um, but but I think that's just how I process the world and think about and gathering data. Do these things make sense? Is this a phenomenon that's unusual? Is this consistent? Can I see a pattern here? Can I find patterns in life or in daily life?
I think maybe for the general population that would be considered weird, but I think for the data science population, it's probably considered quite normal. So I wouldn't worry about it too much.
I mean,
Well,
if I'm
I
too
doubt
nerdy
you're
for your,
worried,
if
but
I'm too nerdy for your audience, then I apologize ahead of time. But
yeah, I sincerely doubt that that will be the case. So, something we didn't really touch on yet, and I think you very might have slightly uh, left off of in your lead up story, is that you did take a risk and you joined a startup. And I'm interested to hear that story. I'm also interested to hear what you learned from it and if it was worth it.
I'm a boomerang at SAS, so that means that I left and then I came back. So in 2014, I had just published a book about big data, data mining, machine learning, and I was contacted by a venture capital group about a mobile analytics startup that was starting and looked like a great opportunity and a chance to do, as you said, it was a risk. And in hindsight, it was it was really beneficial to my career, but the actual thing wasn't necessarily what I had hoped or thought it was going to be. And so I learned a lot about what the right questions were to ask, how to represent, better understand, kind of a situation. But I went to the startup. I was a CTO and got to do lots and lots of hands-on stuff. It didn't start up, and so then I was able to return to SaaS. But I gained a lot of knowledge about doing working so SAS is a company of 15,000 people, and so there's lots of departments and things that take care of functions for me as a practitioner. There's an IT staff and things like that, and working in a very, very small startup, I got to do a lot of those things and try those things. And so it was that opportunity to kind of explore, and in that process I had to be a maker. At SAS for a lot of my career I had been a manager of people, which was great and fulfilling and wonderful, but I enjoyed being the maker. And so when I returned to SAS, I was in an individual contributor role, and I've been a maker kind of ever since then. And I enjoy interacting with people and collaborating, and I enjoy kind of being able to put my hands on things and do things, and making stuff has been, so it's been a great career change for me to understand where my passion lies. I don't know necessarily that I'm a better individual contributor than I am manager, but I enjoy the making part more than I thought I would.
What was the biggest personal individual adjustment that you had to make when you came back as a maker versus a manager?
So, well, one was the the kind of the accountability of you have to get you have a deadline, you have to get things done. If things don't work, it's your problem to fix. As a manager, you are reliant on other people to help kind of build your success. And so as a manager, my role, or I felt like one of my main roles was kind of remove roadblocks for my employees. And I went to lots of meetings so that they didn't have to. It was kind of the running joke in the team I worked in. I went to more meetings than the rest of my team combined so that they didn't have to. They could have hands on keyboard. And so moving into that maker individual contributor role, it was a lot about how do I, making sure I had high accountability and that I thought about it from the lens of the customer. Like, how is someone going to use this? How is someone going to benefit from this? How do we make this easier, simpler, faster, and better? And being able to kind of look at those things and take it something from a kind of a conceptual idea to an actual implementation.
That's amazing. So when you're coming back, you described to me that your role, you had a lot of a key role in shaping it, right? I'm
Yeah,
very
yeah.
Can you explain to me what that process is like? How do you have that conversation? How do you build something like that for yourself?
Well, I mean, I was very lucky, to be able to work with a mentor. So when I came back, I reported directly to the CTO at the time at SAS, and he basically said, go build stuff you wish you would have had when you weren't a SAS employee. Like, go, So I got the chance to kind of build my own role and to design it how I wanted to. But the key objective was make stuff that you wish you would have had, that that we where SAS has not necessarily met the market need, or that there's people like you who want to be able to use SAS. How can we make that easier for them? And one of the things that's come out of that is a couple of open source projects like SAS Pi and the SAS kernel, which are basically interfaces into SAS for non-SAS programmers. They integrate then with Jupyter and Python in general to allow non-SAS programmers to be able to take advantage of SAS analytics. And it's been great, to be able to work on that and understand both the commercial side of software as well as the open source side, and how things are developed and how you can kind of merge those and bridge those gaps to give to build a community around. One of the things that I'm most proud of is that in SAS Pi there's a couple of us that we're basically paid maintainers. That's part of our job description here at SAS, but there's a whole community of contributors. I think it's up to about 20-25 people that are contributing aspects and part of that code to help improve their experience in using it. And so that's an aspect of open source that I think is fantastic, is that it allows you to put some skin in the game, and if you see an area that you can improve and you have the time to help, you can help contribute and help make software and make things better.